Hello, Money Queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, bestselling author and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique, an all-women financial firm. We do help men, women, families, multi-generational women business owners, male business owners. It doesn't matter. But we are here to really empower women who are making millions, building millions, supporting the women making the millions, and looking at all these different components that really come into creating the millionaire mind, creating the millionaire portfolio. And then what do we do with that money once we have it? So I'm so excited to have Veronica Rodgers with us today. She is a financial educator and wealth advisor. She's been in the industry for 20 years. So she's a gem to have with us. She has recently joined the Women's Wealth Boutique as one of our wealth advisors located in Richmond, Virginia. So welcome, Veronica.
Thank you so much, Jessica. It's such an honor to be here with you today.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk because we've been talking behind the scenes for months now. I feel like I've known you forever. So I'm excited to be able to share your story. You've been in the industry for 20 years. Have you been in different roles in the industry? What brought you into the financial industry? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. So yes, I began in the mailroom, and I love telling people that. The mailroom of the bank during an internship. It was when First Union was still around. So I started there and essentially worked my way from the operations side and realized I like working with people. I like that one-on-one interaction, and then made my way over to client-facing roles, whether it was with insurance or helping other advisors within the brokerage industry. And then finally said one day, you know what? I got this. I can do this. So here I am.
That's an amazing story. You've consistently have outgrown previous roles as you, what do we learn? Climb the corporate ladder. And you were climbing the corporate ladder, the broker-dealer corporate ladder. Along the way, you were doing a lot of personal growth.
Yes.
And that's what happens. You have personal growth, and I would love to talk about that. But when we have so much personal growth, we tend to outgrow the current role at our job, at our firm. I feel very similar. I worked with my father for over 10 years, and it wasn't that I outgrew him. I outgrew the role that he had in his mind for me. And he knew it at the time. And you get to move into this really cool space of creation and impact.
Indeed.
I'm all fired up. So let's talk about fees, ladies. Have you ever gotten an objection from a client or prospect about your worth, your fees, what you are charging them? Let's take a step back and let's look at the world. The world is an exchange of a service, a good for money or for time. There's always a give and take. That's the way the world works. That's the way the financial industry works. There's always a cost to doing business. And if there isn't a cost to doing business, you need to reevaluate it because you either are giving up your time, giving up your energy, giving up some other source of good for that work in return. Just the way the world works. And when you look at somebody who's saying, well, that's too much money, what am I really getting for that 1% of money management fee or that $5,000 planning package? What am I really getting? I always tell my clients, you're not investing in me by paying this fee. You're investing in yourself. This is a cost for your future. This is an investment into your future. So are you telling me that you don't value your future enough to pay this fee? And if you go even deeper than that, it's not just valuing their future, it's valuing their present, it's their worth. They don't feel worthy of investing this amount of money into themselves. And why? Why? Maybe they lack trust in themselves. Trust that they will actually do the things that you tell them to do to get to that next level of growth. I remember one woman was in my office and we were going through this exercise and she just started crying. She was bawling her eyes out and she said, I know this is what I need. I know I have to do this, but I don't trust myself enough to invest this money into a program and actually do the steps. Maybe she's let herself down before. Maybe her role models have let her down in the past. There is an issue with her trust. There's an issue with her valuing herself. There's an issue with her worth. And she knows she's going to stay exactly where she is unless she can build that trust. How do we build that trust? Maybe it's baby steps. Maybe it's let's do this smaller meeting together and see what happens. And let's build from there and build from there. But the question is never about what you're bringing to the table. It's more, they don't value themselves enough to invest in you. That's the objection you have to overcome. You don't have to overcome the amount of money that it costs. It doesn't matter because you know in the end, you are worth that amount of money. You have the results to prove it from working with other people like this prospect. You know you're worthy of it. The objection we have to overcome is their worth. How do we change that conversation? How do we change what's going on in their mind so that they start to value themselves more? That they understand their worth, that they understand this is an investment into my future that I have to take if I want a different future than my current present situation. Because isn't that what a plan is? It's to get out of our present situation and to get to that next level. That's what you're doing for these people. Remember that, ladies. It's not an attack against you, it's an attack against themselves. Hope that helps.
So what do you think helped you with that personal side of growth that led you to keep working it and keep wanting for more and never settling, is what I keep hearing in your story. What do you think on the personal side helped you there?
That's a great question. When I reflect over my career path, I realized that there was always something deep within that said, you're meant for more. You're meant for
There's
more.
a voice going on in you.
Always.
And I'm sure people listening, we know when there's that invisible barrier up on us and we don't know how to push through that invisible barrier, but there's something in there telling us that you can get past it.
Yes.
You got to push through.
Correct. When I kind of joke with people and say, when you feel this little itch and start squirming in your seat, even before you clock in, then you know that a change is coming.
It's not just that your butt is itchy. There actually is, there's this energy in you and it will come out in different symptoms and it could, that antsiness, like, okay.
Yes, that's such a better way to put it. Antsiness, yes.
And usually, when you know this, the work we've done together, so many people will try to ignore that. They'll avoid it or will make excuses up.
Right.
It's not a good time. I got to focus on my health. I got to focus on my family. I got X, Y, and Z. And I would say 90% of people will stay in that role.
Correct.
But the people listening to this, the women like you, men like you, they're ready to move past that.
Yes.
And your whole story is how to thrive in the messy middle. And I love that because everything happens in the middle. The chaos, the mess, God unraveling everything so it works better for us.
Yeah.
Have you been in the middle? You've been in a big transition career-wise.
Yes.
Tell us about this transition that you've been going through. And I'm sure it's been messy. It's been good. It's been a roller coaster. It's been all of it.
A roller coaster indeed. I can laugh and joke and say, just like the financial markets, your life is cyclical. So you can be at a peak riding high, and then before you know it, life throws you a curveball and you're in a valley. You're in the trenches. And then you work your way back up to a peak. I mean, all of it's the same. And yes, I have been in a messy middle multiple times. And currently, I'm proud to say that I'm in it as well now, navigating life. Um, the past few years has been a roller coaster. It has been exciting. It has brought many tears. You know, of course, we've all gone through the pandemic. We've all experienced that. And each of us have had different trials and tribulations to come our way during that time. I decided to meet the love of my life right before the pandemic. I then decided to step out on my own and become a financial advisor. I got married, became a bonus mom, and had a baby of our own.
That is a lot of changes in a very short period of time. That's a lot of growing and stretching, a lot of living out of what's familiar and comfortable.
Exactly. It was as if the universe, God, just answered and gave me everything I prayed for, I asked for all at once. And I have to admit, I've had a few nights just crying uncontrollably and saying, why in the world did this happen all at once? Mm. But I know it's because I'm stronger than what I ever know. All of my experiences have helped me get to a point where I truly know I can help others. I have a testimony. I have something to give so that other women just like me can see that there's more for themselves as well.
And we're here. It's happened. We have our own women-only financial firm. So grateful to be here. So grateful that we made it through this journey, and I'm so grateful for you. Cannot wait to explode this, build this out for women financial advisors everywhere, women investors, women who want to get engaged with their money, who want to become money queens. We are here for you. This is all for you. This is our safe place, our own financial firm made by women for women. This is for you. So grateful for you. Thanks for being on this journey with me, with all of our women advisors who are coming on board. Your trust is everything to us, and we just send you so much love and kindness and support. And we are here to do whatever needs to be done to help you explode your growth. Do what we can to get you moving in the right direction as well.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that you said, why all at once, God, why? But what we learn and what we know in the Bible is he rains blessings on us. And when there's a rainstorm, is it just one drop? It's drop after drop, blessing after blessing after blessing coming at us. And you said it beautifully that the time in the middle, the time in between all the blessings coming, that's the growth.
Yes.
That's how you grow and align to get to that point where you can then receive it all, be grateful for it all, embrace it, and not shy away from it either. How do you see this translating to people with wealth, with money? Because to me, working career could be the middle. Right? You're working 30, 40 years, and the end goal is retirement, the be all end all, retirement. But that whole time when you're saving money, there's curveballs getting thrown at you.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Yes. Yes.
And you see the middle could also be supporting parents and children, which is in a situation you currently are in, right? Veronica, do you mind sharing about that?
Sure.
Part of it?
Yes. What I do for myself is, one, provide myself as much grace and compassion during this middle. yes, as you stated, along with all the blessings I've mentioned, I also am currently in what we call the sandwich generation. So I have aging parents, and the baby boomers. They're getting older, they're experiencing their own health issues. And I know that we as women, especially with the demands on both sides, we tend to put everything in front of us. So for your question, like how do you handle it when it comes, especially when it comes to wealth? Even though it's hard, and most of us experience some form of guilt, and you don't have to be a mother to experience the guilt, especially when you're dealing with aging parents.
Sure.
You have to remember you have to put yourself first, and you do so by the grace, the compassion. And even when at times you feel like you just want to scream, allow yourself to scream, because what you're telling yourself is that you're loving yourself. You're giving that space to respect your feelings. Don't scream at others, but quietly go outside or go into a room and just let it out. If we keep it in, it just festers, and then it presents itself in a way that we know we may have to come back and apologize, or we may have made a mistake and not a great choice when it comes to our finances.
Oh, yes.
It's put yourself first. And can be the hardest thing to do, Jessica, but it's the number one advice that I have for everybody when it comes to making sure to take care of yourself while you're in this messy middle.
Yes. And it's taking care of yourself mentally and physically, and also financially. As you said, if you're taking care of parents, maybe grandparents, siblings, children, your spouse, if you're financially supporting everybody, there's no money left for you.
Right. Exactly.
You got to make sure your plan's in check and secure. Because if you're the one supporting everybody and you fall, well, the whole dynasty's falling. Everything's falling. Everything's falling.
Indeed. And that, I asked the client the other day when we were discussing her situation, I reminded her, I asked her, I said, after you take care of your parent, and after you take care of your spouse, and after you take care of your children, then who takes care of you? And it made her pause. It made her think about it. And yes, fortunately, she's in a great relationship. She's very supportive. But then outside of her spouse, she said, no one. And I said, okay, we unfortunately know, like, just life is life. Your parents are going to transition. Your children, because you're doing an excellent job, mom, they're going to transition out of the home eventually. We all know during our 20s and 30s, we're all working and focusing on ourselves. The kids are going to grow to young adults and focus on themselves. They may not come back around and say, hey, do you need anything? We just don't know what the dynamics are going to be. So if that's the case, who's going to be there to help you if you haven't taken the time to take care of yourself first, to make sure you're still creating boundaries and paying attention to your finances? I'm not saying don't help others, but you got to help yourself first. Just putting that oxygen mask on, just like all the flight attendants say, first. It may seem selfish. You want to help your child out if you're on the plane, of course, or your spouse or whomever. However, put your oxygen mask on first and then help others.
Ooh, you said so many good things. Boundaries, which is huge. It's especially with our phones, social media, emails. We are always accessible to everybody at any point in the time. And you get to the end of the day and your cup's depleted. It's been knocked over, spilt, broken. There's nothing left in it anyway. Evaporated. And if we don't have those boundaries, right, it's so easy to just continue to give and give and give and give.
Right.
And you're running on adrenaline, you're running on empty, you're running on fumes. There's nothing left. And what's that? The breaking point.
And it can creep up on you if you do that.
Right. It does creep up on you. Yes. How do people give themselves boundaries with their money? What does that look like? And you also said, I don't want to forget about this, how when we have that anger, that resentment, that we need to let out, otherwise it festers. It's almost this toxic poison, right? It's poison. And if we don't use it, we spew it out at people. Our kids, right? My one question, like, if you don't get this anger out, Jess, it's going to go right to your kids. I'm like, you're right. And we usually give it to the people we love the most.
Yes.
Because we feel that always will be there for us, which isn't fair for anybody. It's not fair for us, not fair for them. Things. How can people, especially now with the markets being crazy, how can people give themselves some healthy boundaries with their money and to understand, how do I want to say this? Not to be angry at the markets or angry at their accounts or even angry at their advisors, but understanding, right? This too shall pass. This too will go. What would you say about that with boundaries?
Well, one, the first thought is understanding that what you cannot control, let it go. So the markets, we can't control, right?
We would like to, but we
would like to. It's an emotional being all on its own. It's like some days, especially during this time when it's volatile, I make a joke and say it's like another child that I have to deal with, and I just sit there and watch it sometimes.
Watch it having a tantrum on the way down. Yep, I feel like
like, what are you going to do now? And when that's happening, because most people, of course, if they're watching their money and they're watching things be affected by outside variables, of course, it's easier said than done, but stop and then to breathe. What I've realized is that as a society, and even as myself, we forget to breathe. We forget to pause and just take a deep breath. It's not, how can I say it? Perhaps it's just not a programmed behavior that most people have today, because we are used to reacting.
Very reactive, yes.
Very reactive and or internalizing everything. So it's either or, you react or you are keeping everything in. Yes. And that's why my first recommendation earlier that I stated was go somewhere, let it out. Because most people have just bottled it all up. Well, when you're past that point, you've let it out and we know it's going to come back because that's life. What do? Breath work. You have to, in that moment, pause, take a step back. I don't care if you have to walk out the room. I don't care if you have to get up from your desk, like you're doing your finances, you're working on your budget, you see something that you don't like. Instead of feeling that negative vibration within, because it's coming, walk away. Go do some breath work, breathe. I don't care if it's just a deep inhale and a wonderful exhale that you can do 5 to 7 times alone. If the environment allows you to, breathe, let it out, and then come back. Because what that does, it tells your body, let's do a reset.
Yes. I love that.
Let's approach things differently with more clarity and allow ourselves to give us the grace and compassion that we need to then move forward with what it is that we need to do.
Welcome to the Woman's Wealth Boutique. I'm Jessica Weaver, owner and founder of the Woman's Wealth Boutique. We are a female financial firm. We are literally built by women for women. I'm creating an all-women's firm for women by women, a safe place to have their voice, to stop being told what we can or can't say by these broker dealers, by these wirehouses, to stop trying to fit us into this mold that we're not meant to fit in. We're not men. Stop talking to us like we're men. Stop treating us like we're men. Our industry doesn't allow us to work with people who don't have enough assets to pay for our work. How do we help them though? How do we help prevent them from making mistakes? Well, that's why I have my books. That's why I have money courses. That's why I have my community for women who don't have the assets and are turned away from advisors and turned down from them time and time again. It's hard when we're all isolated on all these little islands to have a voice, to have a platform. But by coming together and being united on one platform, yes, you have your voice, but having a platform allows your voice to be heard, allows you to get out there and speak your voice, speak your mission. That's what it's about. There's nothing like what we are building out there right now. This is an opportunity. This is a movement of change. This is my purpose in life. To build this home, this platform for women advisors, and more importantly, for women clients. That's my purpose. I don't have a choice. I'm terrified as hell. I am nonstop having to make these huge decisions, hoping, trusting my intuition, leaning on God every day, every hour, that I'm making the right decisions for the advisors, for my clients, for me, for my family. This journey we're in, it's going to be more and more the status quo or huge changes and shaking up an entire industry. Shaking up an entire industry, which takes some balls. Do I have it in me? Yeah, I think I've been nice for too long. It's time to actually go for it and to let's do what's right, not just for us, but for other women advisors, for their clients, for the people that the firms still work with because they don't have enough money. Let's do what's right for them. And I'm just so excited to see what the future holds for the Women's Wealth Boutique. This is so exciting. We are doing something that's so different for the industry, so innovative, all for women. We are about education. We're about pulling behind the curtain so you can actually see what goes on when you work with an advisor. And each advisor on our team, on a growing team of women wealth advisors, target and work with a specific kind of client, whether you're going through a divorce, you're a woman business owner, you're an international woman. We have it all for you, and I'm so excited to see what the future has for the Women's Wealth Boutique.
Yes. I love that reset, because we're so used to using previous events and the emotions of previous events. I got burned before in the stock market. I got burned before about a relationship. And we'll bring those into the present, and it's so easy to just continue that pattern because it's what we know. It's what we grew up around. It's how we've been living. But that reset, you can now view it in a whole new perspective. You can see, is there an opportunity here for a change? Is there something to be grateful about this? Is there a message that I need to learn so I can move past this? That reset is huge. And how do I want to respond to this instead of react? Now I get to choose how to respond to what I'm getting thrown at. And in the end, life's always worked out. Right?
It has. It has. It has.
You've always had enough money. It's figured itself out. That's so good. Awesome, Veronica. I am very curious what this next adventure is going to bring you. I know we're in the how to thrive in the messy middle. Are you coming out of the middle? What is the future for you, Veronica? How are you helping people? I would love to hear about that.
Ooh, that's a great question. Oh,
put you on the hot seat.
Yes, exactly.
Where is Veronica a year from now? Because I see it. I see this light burning in you. You have so many stories to share, so many ways to help people who are in the sandwich generation, who are in the messy middle, or dealing with modern families. and the dynamics, which that's huge financially.
Oh, yes.
Money's complicated. Now you have multiple households and money. Money personalities hitting each other differently, raising kids in different households. Whole new ball game for people.
Oh my goodness.
Parenting, financially, emotionally, things like that. So what's the future for you?
A year from now, of course, everything is still, I say the Rodgers household clan is just as crazy as ever, just loud and fun. And, I'm looking at, I have two daughters, and I can see myself being so active in their lives to teach them the things that I was not taught as a child. When I reflect over my childhood, I can honestly admit that my parents didn't do great with money. They didn't have the great money conversations that I know not to do, and what I want to do better with my children. I constantly heard money doesn't grow on trees. You have to rob Peter to pay Paul, knowing what it felt like to not have.
That's a lot of scarcity in an upbringing when you're so vulnerable and influenced by people to hear those things, and that's our society. And you mentioned, and we were talking even yesterday, you mentioned something your father told you that still plays a theme, and I would love for you to share it because this is going to resonate with everybody.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. When I graduated from college, I went to North Carolina A&T State University, graduated back in 2004, and I'm okay to date myself right now. I remember working my first job as an operations analyst in front of the computer, data input all day long, bored out of my mind. And I called my father to check in, see how things were going, and to let him know, like, I'm not happy. This is not what I pictured life to be after college.
How many people can feel that way? That first job out of college, like, this is the real world. This is what everyone's rushing to get to.
I wanted to pack my bags and go back to Greensboro so quickly. And I vividly remember my father saying to me after he listened, "You like the money, don't you?" And something at that exact moment, as I heard the period on the question mark on the end of his question, it sent chills all throughout my body. And it told me I've got to sacrifice my happiness in order to earn a living.
When it comes to your career, you go where there is the fastest growth. What's the company that is growing the fastest? So this is advice that I've read through multiple books. And I remember reading one book in particular. I believe it was called something like Fast Lane to a Millionaire, something like that. And he was a taxi driver. He drove a taxi. And one day he was picking up a client at his house. It was in the evening, and he pulls up to the house, and it's this gorgeous mansion. And this young dude walks out. This young guy walks out, and what's his first thought? Trust fund kid, right? Somebody must have given him money. Because what are the ways we earn money in this world? We inherit money. We work our ass off for money. Might be the 0.0001% who just are gifted money, win money lottery. And he starts hearing the conversation that this guy is having with his buddies in the back of the taxi, or the limo. Sorry, it was a limo. And he was a tech startup. And he turns to his one buddy and he writes him a $2 million check. And he hands a $2 million check to his buddy because his buddy had joined him from the start. He joined this startup, not a lot of money, but he saw the vision. He knew what it was doing. And his other buddy turned down that position for a few $1,000s more at another job. At an established company with benefits, steady income, the safe choice, right? The safe choice. And he got mad that he didn't get a check. But why should he get a check? He didn't commit. He wasn't in it. He wasn't in the early stages when maybe they weren't even getting paid every week. You know, what happens in a startup. And I remember that story so much because on my own journey, I have left an established firm, multi-million-dollar firm that my father created and started and has been very successful with. And I took this huge risk. I left it. Insane. Why would I leave that? Because I outgrew that role and I knew I was ready to create. I was ready to create an impact. So you know what it's like leaving money on the table. I know what it's like leaving that comfortable, cushy job to do what you love, where your heart is. And I also know the guilt from breaking my father's heart, from ruining his visions, his succession, his legacy, all of that. And the turmoil caused my family. I know that. And you can sense, right? There is still the guilt. But I would never have been able to do this if it wasn't for the support of my coaches, my community, my dear friends, but God. I would not have been able to do it without God. I also have to mention Eric, my husband, who's amazing. But without that faith and knowing that God is going to take care of us, and especially for me, you know, supporting my family financially in so many ways, that's scary. That is scary. And having multiple conversations with my husband over, you know, we're going to have to sacrifice a little bit, you know, in the beginning. But to know that he believes in me so much that he doesn't even care about those sacrifices because he can see what we're building. He sees the proof of it every day, and he sees my smile when I come home from work. That's all that there is. That's what's worth it for him. So I encourage you with the story, with my own story, that take the risk. Take the damn risk. Stop talking about it. Stop dreaming about it. Because guess what? Your dreams, your goals need a partner. And that partner is you. I can be your partner too. I can be your advocate. I'm here for you, ladies. But they need you there with it. God needs you to decide. He's already desired it. He knows it. He's built it. He's planted. He needs you to decide. Decide today. And I encourage you, go inward, because that's where you're going to find the courage. That's when you're going to take control over your life. And that's where the magic's going to start to happen. And then all of a sudden, all the fears are going to be shed the instant you take action. The instant you take action, they're going to start to fall away. And then you're going to start to see some real results because you're in alignment. You're in alignment, so it's going to be easy. So to me, taking that risk, it's easy because everything becomes easy afterwards. You fall into alignment, things fall into place. Doors are open, opportunities are opened. So take the risk, ladies. Take the risk.
This is such a theme. Oh my, you saying this is giving me chills, and I can see, I'm sure everybody listening to the same thing. You have to pick one. It's money or happiness. You got to pick one.
It's either or.
And it's horrible, but I'm sure that's how he was raised. That's what what he learned and grew up around. So his father advice to you was that.
Exactly.
How do you rewrite that? Because that is, again, you're very vulnerable at that stage, right? New job, new career, all new terrain, into the unknown. And you're told that from somebody that you respect and value, like, well, this is how it has to be. How do you change that in you?
It has been hard. You know, let me share my vulnerability about that. My father was my idol. Like, he was one of 6 children. Out of the children, probably fair to say he's been the most successful. And he worked really, really hard in a career that I'm sure he didn't truly love, but it was because he had 3 children of his own. And then my parents divorced when I was 11, and he remarried when I was 15. So welcome 2 step brothers during that marriage. So he was taking care of 5 children and did what he needed to do. He sacrificed his time because it took him away a lot. He had to travel to the West Coast during the week and come back on the weekends. And that's when we got to see him. So you can imagine the dynamics there.
Yeah. Not even having time for family, right? You have to sacrifice happiness and family time.
And now where we are, unfortunately, is, and the story that I put around it was that he also sacrificed his health in order to achieve and take care of his family.
So the opposite of your advice, putting yourself last, your happiness last, your time last, your health, everything.
Yes.
Wow.
He retired early. And then, unfortunately, as soon as he retired, Parkinson's.
Wow. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
And young, very young. He's only 65 now, and in the later stages of Parkinson's.
Wow.
And he may have had it much longer than we will ever know. But because he's retired and was like, okay, now I can relax, all that stress, all that anxiety, all of those pressures, not handling them well, manifested in that way.
In a big way. I remember my grandfather, he passed away 6 months into retirement from leukemia, and he was on the railroad, worked overtime, all the holidays. Similar dynamic, right? No time, no family time, health. And you see that a lot. There's been studies shown that when you hit retirement, your mind is telling your body there's no longer a purpose, and it starts to decay in a way. But you say everything then comes to the forefront, all of these sicknesses and diseases. He probably did have this forms of it for a very long time. Very sad. You don't want anyone to see anybody going through that, especially when they work so hard.
And, please, he probably can say that ultimately he found something out of it. Of course, it was rewarding to be able to protect his family, to provide for his family. However, I'm from the standpoint of, like, you put in all of that time and effort and that work. And yes, fortunately, we're all successful. He gets to see his family growing. Recently, one of my stepbrothers just got married himself. So the dynamics are there. Everything's growing. Yeah. He's not able to participate as much as he would like to. And so I'm of the mindset of, like, we have to make sure we're doing what we want to do, what brings us joy. Yeah. But I do have to tell my inner child, like, it's okay. Yes, your dad told you that advice. And everything he said when you were younger was gospel. But you have your own path. You have your own dreams, your own desires, and you have the rights to do it your way.
Each lady at the Women's Wealth Boutique shares their asset, their magic that they bring to the world. Bringing women together for the greater good is my greatest asset. Uniting women to make huge impacts on women with their wealth. Money is power. Money is a tool to get you the life you desire, to make your own impact, your own legacy. You are worthy of this wealth. If you don't believe me, you can hear it from every single woman at the Women's Wealth Boutique. Hearing new beliefs from experts is another way to rewire your brain. So let's begin with your own healing. You are worthy to invest in yourself. You are worthy of millions, of billions. You are worthy of God's blessings. You are worthy of all the desires you've ever had. You are worthy. We aren't called financial trendsetters for nothing at the Women's Wealth Boutique. Each journey with these ladies, you will see new, innovative, trailblazing strategies that we use with our clients. Our mission is to impact millions of women around the world with their wealth. We are doing things differently at the Women's Wealth Boutique. We are challenging the status quo at the Women's Wealth Boutique. We are here for change to disrupt the financial industry.
That's beautiful. Yeah, create your own Bill of Rights. That is so true. So I see you, it sounds like having more of the work-life balance, but not having to sacrifice so much, but finding a way to have the home life that you want and have the work life that you want and have the money that you want.
Right.
Can you have the trifecta?
Yes. Yes. Every day I repeat a mantra to myself, and it is every day and in every way I'm getting stronger and stronger.
That's beautiful.
So when I see myself a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, I know that I am having an impact on other women just like me who've experienced the trials and tribulations as well and feel as if the world caves in on them and they're not sure how to get out. Mm-hmm. And it may be better to just stay where they are for that safety, for that security, because I have children, because I have to take care of my parents. Life is too precious. If we do not put ourselves first and take care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically first, we could possibly end up with a story that we don't like the ending.
Yes.
And I do not subscribe to saying that I regret anything in life. And I don't believe anyone else should either. So if you're willing to do the work, willing to understand, and the work being taking care of myself, mm-hmm. even just for a tiny bit, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, no.
Pockets are huge.
It all adds up.
It does. It does. And then all of a sudden it's your entire day that you get to enjoy. Thank you for sharing that about your family and being vulnerable with us today, Veronica. It's such an important story to share. Everyone's going through it in some fashion, or they've been through it. And it takes that risk stepping into the unknown to figure out, how can I make this all work? And that's what we're here to do. We want to support you emotionally, spiritually, financially, so that you can have the life that you've been after, the life that you want to create. I think that's the biggest lesson, is that we get to create it.
Yes.
We don't have to stay in what we've been handed or stay in the mess. We get to create it. And that happens in the middle, because in the middle, you take a stance. I don't want this anymore. I want to create something different.
It's so worthwhile. It's like a lifesaver.
It's worthwhile. That freedom. Right? I'll just picture that freedom for a moment of waking up when you want to wake up, doing what you want to do for work, checking in when you want to check in.
That's the true wealth.
That is a true wealth.
That's the true wealth of life.
Amen.
It's not just the money. That part right there. Being more in control of your life overall, having that freedom, having that deep feeling like a blanket is just wrapping around you because of the fact that you know you are in control of your life and your path and your goals and dreams. That's the true that's the true wealth in life that everybody works to achieve.
That is awesome. I love that. I was just listening before this, a gentleman who's a doctor stating his mission in life is to get people to fill themselves up with so much inside of them that they're done chasing everything outside of them for that satisfaction and fulfillment. And goes right along with that, right? The freedom is the wealth, right? So if we can embrace that freedom, we have that millionaire mindset then. We already are there. And then the money's going to come. It always does. It always does. So thank you so much for being here with us, Veronica. Where can people find you? Obviously, you're at the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let them know where they can find you, follow your story and the events, everything that you have going on, which is all incredible.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate today, Jessica. This is wonderful.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening to Women Behind the Millions.